Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and start Chapter 6. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Where we're going to talk about how you and I can present lessons to people. We're going to be talking about instructional methodologies in this particular chapter. I'm on the PowerPoint. I'm moving to the second slide here that talks about communication skills. Obviously, you and I need communication skills to be able to get our points across to our students. And there are three basically elements to communication. First of all, obviously, there's somebody that's got to play the role of the communicator. You got something to say to a listener, and in this case they called them the receiver. But right in the middle there's symbols. You and I utilize a number of symbols to communicate. The symbols may be graphical, might be pictures, certainly type is graphical. Different languages use different forms of letters and sentences and so forth, and so you and I can communicate by that, but also we communicate very well also with our nonverbal expressions to exhibit frustration, joy, happiness, sadness, whatever. And so you can get a lot of nonverbal clues to the communicator's state of mind by just watching their body language. So those kind of symbols are very powerful tools for us to use to transfer information. And finally, got to be somebody that's going to listen to you, and that's the receiver. Now, obviously, communication is also a two-way street. Your communicator and receiver are sometimes swapping roles very often. I talk to you, you talk to me. My roles get reversed, just as like yours do. And so there's that give and take on the part of communicators and receivers to transfer whatever information we want to get from one person to another. Now, there's a number of techniques that you and I can use. Obviously, our language. I'm not bilingual. Many people that I grew up around are. They can speak English and French. Back when I was growing up, Mom and Dad spoke French to kind of keep my sisters and I in the dark when they wanted to talk about adult things. So we never knew what they were talking about. So if you can't understand the language, not a whole lot of communication is going to take place. So our language is the basic thing that we use to get our point across verbally. Now we can also use our voice control. I remember one professor that when you would talk to him normally, he had a very soft voice. Sometimes you can barely hear the guy, but whenever he got in front of a classroom, it's like the light went on. He became another person, and his voice just carried all over a shop lab. He had this ability to control his volume and use it whenever he wanted to. I remember another teacher that never raised her voice. That taught high school. I said, "Wow, that's amazing. How in the world did you get your point across to these 20 students that are sitting in your class?" And she told me that, and gave this little example. She began to whisper an answer back to me, and I remember turning my head to there and trying to listen to her. She said, "Look what you just did." She said, sometimes whenever you use just a very low volume in your voice, it just makes your listeners pick up and focus on what you're trying to tell them. And so being able to use either a high volume, low volume, I've been in a situation where I've screamed at the top of my lungs and never got any response from students. But it's being able to, who wants to listen to any kind of monotone? That'll put you to sleep in no time. But just varying your voice inflection. Those people that can do that are really effective communicators. Your bodily actions. Said a little bit just a while ago about your body language and how that conveys some nonverbal clues and symbols to the listener about what it is that you're trying to say. Let's put it this way. I've had more than my share of students when I'm going strong talking about something that I thought was important for the course and see them with their head down on the desk. Obviously from that bodily action I know that they're not getting what I need to get across to them. That's pretty obvious. You look at some of the faces of some of the students that are in your class and they look like they're a million miles away, daydreaming, or else they're just not really focused on what you're saying. Well, those kind of bodily actions are easy to read. And also, if you're not feeling well that day and not having a good day, you don't have to tell them. They ought to notice it in your actions too. And so it's very tough for us to be at the top of our game every day. And don't believe that the students don't pick up on that. And finally, eye contact. I was told by a teacher that whenever you go in front of a classroom, look at the back row and start doing what you've got to do to lecture or whatever it is you're trying to do. I tried that. Didn't work for me. I found that I did a better job when I was making eye contact with every one of those students in that classroom, because we got connected. They knew that I was talking to them, and you just meet everyone's eyes in that classroom. I found out that it was a whole lot easier for me to not act like a park statue and stay behind a lectern or a podium, lectern, whatever they call, and just do my lecturing there. Now, obviously, when I first started teaching, I was there for a reason, because I was scared to death, and I didn't want my students to see my knees wobbling and shaking as I was doing my thing. But I found out later on that you can do a lot of amazing things by walking around the classroom. Even if your students are sitting in desks in nice, neat little rows, go up and down the row as you're talking to them. Make eye contact with them. Obviously, it's going to keep them thinking, keep them sharp, keep them focused. And I found that eye contact is really effective, and I do it as much as I can. Even now, where a lot of my students are working individually, I'll go up, visit with them, make eye contact with them, and find out where they are, how things are going with their coursework, even though a lot of them do it over the internet in class. So those are our communication techniques that are available to us. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop right here because the next couple of slides deal with some specific instructional techniques like lecture and discussion. So I want to spend some time talking about them, and I think that would probably work out better, so I can have a little bit more time to maybe get into some depth here. So I'm going to go ahead and shut down right here and pick up with our instructional techniques in the second part of this lecture.